map reveal is one thing. It's
Yeah,
like,
I don't
okay,
care about the rest
maps.
of the game. Just reveal the operator.
Well, it's just it changes the maps now, and I think that's such an exciting part of this game that they added. Like, whether you like it personally as a because you get stuff banned against you or not, I can't wait for this to get into some other modes like ranked because it just changes the game up so much. I mean, obviously it'll change the game up more when people don't feel like they have to ban Lion every single time or something like that. But see, a Twitch ban, for example, is something that just is so uncommon, and that makes it more interesting. We'll see.
That is now Fnatic banning that. It's a direct counter to Mocket.
Oh yeah,
Alive plays that quite a bit.
Revan is also
Revan as well.
Twitch, yeah.
Yep. So you gotta worry about it. So this might lead to a Mira pick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we saw the same ban against them from G2 as well.
No,
so.
Unfortunately, she will be banned. So Reconquista Tempache, even though that is Italian. She's a Spanish operator, but whatever. My Spanish isn't that great.
Use whatever you got.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I've been doing for the past 24 years, Devin.
I can tell. Okay, here's
Twitch,
a
Mira.
question mark. Echo, Maestro, Valkyrie are generally the extra ones here.
Pulse. In your face!
Absolutely. I am always happy to be surprised, or happy to be wrong because it means I'm surprised, which means there's something interesting happening.
That's my line.
Less predictable. Well, you know what? Now you're surprised. So everyone wins.
I'm not surprised that you're wrong, but
all right.
Someone
had to do the early match this morning.
Yeah. I've definitely been loading up this morning to fire some shots back. So
I saw him just loading up that Magnum one bullet at a time. All right, Blitz may be coming out here from an enemy. That's always a fun one on this particular bomb site, which of course is going to be Armory Lockers. Not a real surprise there. There are a few teams that will play Vents first, but this case it's not going to be Fnatic doing that. Since Echo was not banned, of course they are going to play it. So that means Echo Maestro are both available. 6 pick's not actually going to change this up, but no Blitz after all.
Magnet for the Frost.
All right. That is going to make things a little more...
Frost is a good operator.
I think they were probably doing that as a counter pick to the Blitz, too.
Yeah.
Which, no longer the case, but still fun.
Frost is a good op. The 9mm C1 is actually pretty good rifle to use.
Oh yeah, it's a good operator. It got buffed even, which it didn't really need a buff, but it got one anyways.
It's like 4 or 5 points of damage. So in medium distance, it'll help you out. There's like specific meters. I have to go back and review my Rogue 9 videos for this, but there's small changes to the 9mm C1, but we'll see how effective they'll be. As welcome mats will be set in. Welcome mats definitely come into play the longer the round goes in, so you can use that to really put your opponents on tilt once they run into those welcome mats. And I wonder how this setup will be.
Oh no,
Fnatic.
Spotted by the drone. That means that welcome mat maybe not as effective, but at the same time, forcing them, if they go to jump in the window, right, and they're forced to look down at the ground to shoot that welcome mat, that is some advantage you can still have as they jump in there and take a little pot shot at them while they're looking at the ground. They are obviously going to be playing in the office if they're reinforcing this wall as well. Maestro probably going to have a camera somewhere in there, which might be tucked even by the desk to be able to help stop a thermite charge on the wall in there in case they come in from office. Looks so far like they might be going for a Locker's Breach, though, just off the fact that Alive is over here already.
I mean, the wall is completely soft. That's the odd thing in it. So this is why they're reinforcing so much in CCTV. The thing is, you're not going to hold CCTV for the entirety of the round.
No, you're definitely not.
I
just wondered if that was a bait for the frost trap, but I don't see it anywhere near the actual hole.
No, it's not here. The frost trap is on the other side of the map.
Yeah.
Now, what Fnatic have prepped here is that they have an Evil Eye, but here we go. First kill, well, at least first down, is the Frost, as Revan was spraying in, and he already has the Frost on the floor here. Magnet, and that usually spells trouble for our Australian lineup of Fnatic.
Well, he can get picked back up, so maybe it'll be okay.
Not just yet. Oh, there we go. Alive comes in, gets the kill, and that's 2 now down. Lusty getting 1 for his own, but panics will turn it into a 4 versus 2. Enemies on the floor with the Zofia, but they should be able to pick him back up to 50 health, and indeed that is exactly what happens. Aces will move his Yokai back, just to hold from the opposite end here to make sure they have something to play with. I'm definitely not a fan of having full soft wall.
Yeah.
Leading into the the Armory.
Seemed like a strange choice, and we didn't really get to see it work out in the favor. We got to be careful with that placement of the yokai. Could hit the fan and not actually end up working, I believe. So Lusty gonna have to clutch this out with low health now, though. It's not gonna be great. Aces better be on top of his game to back his teammate up here, because he's got to fight 4 strong operators.
Yeah, it's 50 seconds on the clock, and all the walls are soft, so the Buck will have an easy way of opening things up. And Lusty has just used his final gas canister. So definitely not a great position to be in if you're the smoke, but you need it to some sort of denial. And you see Mocket realizing that they don't really have to push from the front, because Fountain is completely let go, coming from the side of the office. Lusty, however, has moved into CCTV to try and play in from the back, maybe find one on the cross, and indeed he will hit, but enemy's ready for him. And Lusty's on the floor now. 3v1 with Aces alive with so little time left on the clock. Aces might actually be able to win this round here, and focusing on his yokai, realizing with the amount of time that is left on the clock, does he hit it? He should have here. 2 seconds left on the clock, goes in for it, but there's already the Dokkaebi hack. No. He just moves in, tries to switch between. No, he was on the camera. He was on the camera. He couldn't get it done.
So close. That could have been the win right there, too.
Now, remind you that yokai drones are not affected by the hack of Dokkaebi at all. So here he just switched cameras.
Yeah, that was a bit of a misplay on his part in the sense that not only did he switch cameras, but he didn't realize it right away. I think he thought for a second there that his yokai had been hacked.
And we're like, this is not supposed to be
Hey, wait a minute. Yeah, that is unfortunate, as just hitting that 1 second earlier would have won him the round. It's unfortunate timing, but either way, they are going to get another chance here on Armory Lockers if they stick on that. Enemy might actually stick on the Ying as well. Now, last time he teased the Blitz and switched to Zofia. And then we had that 6 pick to the Frost. Probably won't go with that again, but Magnet is still going to be the one, the 6 pick. It's just going to be to a different operator this time. We're going to see the same Zofia 6 pick as well. I mean, from a different operator, but we'll see if things work out a little bit better for Magnet this time. As you mentioned earlier, he was the first to get knocked down. That definitely did not help the team out, because that was very early in the round. Hopefully they don't leave things as soft this time.
Yeah.
That seemed like you put in a bit of a mistake, to say the least.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it at all. Now, the reason why you won't... I can see why they're not reinforcing it. Because, maybe we're not ready to deal with an Ashe and a Zofia playing from below, taking down bandit batteries that are set up, and helping up any hard destruction. Especially since Mocket are bringing the Thermite.
Really, what's the downside?
Yeah.
Just reinforcing it.
It's at least wasted time.
Yeah, that's the thing, is time. Because time is the only thing that almost won them the round. It's time. If you just make it that much harder, although the ironic part is they didn't push from lockers then. They pushed around from office instead. So I guess there is that. I guess the idea was to kind of keep them on their toes on that approach, as opposed to feeling like they could safely stand up against that wall. Either way, though, it didn't really work out for them in the end.
I think Fnatic are trying to reinvent the wheel. From the very first round, trying to reinvent the wheel. Europe and North America, and even Latin America, have shown that there's strategies that work and others that do not. And in this position, you might want to play standard, because Mocket there took their sweet time to push onto the site, even though they had a huge advantage in manpower. So you know you can play the time. You know that can work to your advantage. So now the big change from Fnatic is that they actually reinforce the wall into Armory.
Yep, when they not only that, but back it up with the batteries and force them to have to use something from below, but they have 3 different operators that can open up that floor. So that's probably not going to be a big problem. Panic's not going to surprisingly be the one to do it, neither Enemy, because they're up top here, so Alive going to be the one to actually open up that floor. So that is, I mean, it's a quick, easy way to do it for the most part. From you can even do it from the window, essentially. But Alive actually just waiting at first to make sure it's safe upstairs. There is no one playing downstairs now. Banning the pulse, of course, did make it less likely that someone is going to be down there, which makes it a little bit easier of a job. But Magnet is ready for the C4 throw, and this is normally where a Smoke would be playing, but in this case, he wants to play it aggressively right here.
There's no information for them to play off of here. Assume they have a camera outside, but there you go. The equipment, the batteries will get taken out from below. The Thermite will set up, and the C4 flies to try and take him out, and unfortunately, it doesn't even hit the Thermite charge in the back. So there you go. Utility expended. Magnet peeks in for the kill and actually gets one on Void, but the job's already done. The Thermite is
too late.
At that point, he had already done all he's supposed to do. And too little, too late. Just as you mentioned, you lose the utility, you lose the Valkyrie. That's not manpower you can afford to lose when Panix is on a grenade operator. And that's why he's not going to be playing much IQ. Panix with no grenades is really not the same.
But when you saw for a second there, the Shadow actually gave away the position of the defender there moving around. And there we go, Revan playing off that information. Rizraz goes down. Again, advantage here going over to the attackers.
And you see Alive playing off of his teammates' information that are just feeding him where his opponents are. Enemy's taking quite a bit of damage, but it's a manpower advantage for Rocket. And there you go. They put, again, in a 4v2. The Yokai is available for Aces to play with if need be. Neofighter playing from behind in the archives of B, and Aces gets the perfect snipe here on Enemy to take him out. Little time. This is what they're playing for here. They have to contest, and unfortunately, tried to, he thought his opponent was a bit more pushed up, and from behind, Alive will come in and finish things off. Unless the round will go the way of Alive. There, he even charges up from front, doesn't even need to flank. And it's odd that when the Echo was in that position behind the bomb, he knows that there's one spot that his opponents will try to walk through into the desk, shot at the wall, soft wall, instead of the player that's moving in.
I tell you, the one thing I'm seeing here not working out from Fnatic is lack of good information on where the position of the attackers are. Whenever they go to pre-fire, whenever they're trying to take advantage of something, they don't seem to have the intel that they need to make the proper plays. They're making blind peeks, they're making pre-fires that aren't necessarily working, they're opening themselves up to angles that they're not prepared to fight. It's just a case of lack of information or lack of communication, one of the two. They had more information that round because they have the Echo and the Valkyrie. But it just, that's why I got to think maybe communication just isn't there, or maybe they're spending time off of the cameras, not watching them. It's a case where they might want to consider playing a little bit more passive and watching those cameras more, or having someone more dedicated to it and less people peeking, less people pre-firing. Kind of just force more choke points onto Mocket and watch those choke points instead of trying to just peek things. In this case, though, raw fragging power definitely could not be working out for Fnatic. However, at least they're going to change bomb sites, realizing Locker's armory is just not working out. They're going to go to vents instead, which might be the better choice here. They might be able to work this out a little bit smoother, depending on how they play this. The castle barricades are going to slow down the attack a little bit in theory, make it a little harder, but they have more than enough operators there from both Enemy and Alive to open those up pretty easily, so they probably won't last too long. And unfortunately, I failed too early of a throw from Magnet there. Hopefully we don't see them get on a bit of a tilt situation, and we were talking about earlier with Magnet struggling with that sometimes. He did at least get that one kill last round, so that probably made him feel a little bit better, but since it was on the Thermite, probably not as good as he wanted to.
It was a good kill on the Thermite. It's an important operator, however, the timing was off. He threw in the C4, it didn't destroy the charge, it didn't kill the Thermite that was sitting in the back, and he killed the Thermite right after he had pretty much done all the job that he's brought in to do, so he just opened up the armory wall. And that's it. At that point, Thermite's pretty much just an extra operator to have on your team just to hold angles, and that's about it.
Or plant the diffuser pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in this case, they are going to know pretty much what the setup is. They do see a little bit of that shotgunning happening. They know kind of how they want to attack this here. Now it's going to come down to execution as they start to get set up and take map control around the bomb site, taking customs first. And then all these soft walls here, leaving a lot of angles available to the Buck. It seems like, again, a bit of a mistake. They didn't really reinforce much of the actual bomb site there. And that's definitely going to backfire on them with how many operators they have that are soft breachers. It means a lot of angles getting opened on them. They don't even need to use the castle barricades open. Magnet, though, getting the first kill onto Alive is definitely going to help a little bit. That is one soft breacher off the board.
Yeah, no damage done here as Enemy finally changes around to his explosive lifeline. Magnet taking a tiny bit of damage, but no problem whatsoever. Panic's rotating around into customs inspection. He's going to try and contest the servers, though. It's the front door, and he should be able to find, there we go, easy kill on Aces. That's the castle down on the floor. And try to peek against a player in the bathroom. Of course, Magnet. Enemy knows he's there. They're going to get the information. Now, Void, in the meantime, will use that castle barricade to mock its advantage as they open up the side wall. And suddenly now the Valkyrie kind of regrets being stuck in here on her own. The plant can definitely come in, but there's a Nitro Cell, and they hear the Valkyrie in the back. Grenade's going to get thrown in, and will not connect. Magnet's still alive, taking no damage. I don't know if the grenade even went all the way into the bathroom, but C4 is going to get prepped, thrown in the back. Unfortunately, nobody will answer. Revan, though.
Ooh, that's
on you.
The top player starting to get taken down. That's what I was worried about, is that they weren't going to kill anyone up top, but they're starting to, and Panic's taking down Magnet. This is falling apart fast.
Yeah, you're not going to win the fight against the ACOG at that distance. Enemy, and one more on the board, playing the Hollow on the Zofia, and now realizing what's happening, Mach could just go in, and they're going to get an easy plant off of it, hearing that Rizraz, and knowing that he's in the Arcats all on his own. He gets the kill on enemy, but does he have enough time to rotate in? No, the diffuser's already been set. Great time management by Mach. Now Rizraz will have to drop from the server, and Revan is just waiting for it. Mach with an easy third round on the board.
Definitely looking good for them. I liked the fact that they took advantage of taking map control quickly. I think that was the big differentiator in this round for them, is that they quickly took control, just like when they quickly went up to the armory wall. It seems like they know, at least through their droning, where they can confidently go into fast and establish their kind of command and control center right there. They went into, took the customs area and the tellers quickly and said, this is now where we're going to attack from. And then finally, towards the end of the round, they started attacking the people upstairs because they knew that the people that were upstairs were going to be watching downstairs. They're going to be focused on denying anyone's entry, so they're going to be so focused on that, they can then go up and start to swiftly take them out, do the droning to do that, because they'd taken so much early map control, they had the time to spare. And not only that, but the Buck opening up all the walls like that made the other defenders inside the bomb site kind of forced into their own choke points, because they weren't going to use the Buck holes to jump out. They weren't going to use the castle barricades to go through, because they left all the castle barricades intact, as you pointed out. The attackers used the castle barricades to their advantage because Buck was there. And that's why you should consider, if you have the reinforcements, reinforcing some more of those walls facing out there, even though you might not think you need them, especially with a team like this that plays so many soft breachers. You really got to, again, this is a theme for Fnatic, is leaving too many walls soft. It just seems to be a big problem, because they're opening themselves up to angles where they're forced into tighter positions on site, so they have less flexibility to fight against the attackers in different angles and actually trap them, force them to drone more, and in a sense, just letting them feel more comfortable with their map control.
All right, we'll see how Fnatic reinforce around this, as most likely they'll be setting up around the offices again, so it's standard reinforcing, even the fountain wall in the back. So I wonder if they're going to set up the entire wall here as well. No. I hope that they reinforce the armory wall, because it's a bit of a downside of what happened before. Now, you'll see a lot of times now the hallway wall from the break room being reinforced. It just usually, when it's left off, the attackers, be it a Twitch, which is not available here, or a Zofia, will just come in and hold the hallway and sometimes get a pick off their opponents. So it's not a great spot to leave unreinforced. And Magnet here just trying to take down a bit of the wall, just so Neofighter can fight against his opponents coming in from the entry, the main doorway. Just having holes. This is a bit of a different setup, because usually, as you mentioned before, Devin, there's one reinforced wall and a smoke that plays in there. Fnatic just put a Valkyrie in here.
I think they're more concerned with having Lusty play the other side to be able to guard against the opposite side, but
nobody's really coming in from there.
Yeah, not until you force them to. Unfortunately, Intel, again, working out for Mach1 as they get an easy kill into Aces, who's probably busy on his yokai setting those up. And that's definitely going to be a big problem for them here, because that is their one denial outside of the smoke taken down. And Neofighter at least gets a kill, losing half his life in the process. But again, alive dying early I don't think is the biggest loss here for Mach1. I think the trade here was win in Mach1's favor.
Panic setting up for the frag grenade to get chucked up, and that will help them take down any of the bandit batteries that are set up upstairs. The Buck, back in the day, you used to see the IQ playing this, but now the Buck, the Zofia, the Ashe, all three of those ops can do the damage. But at least Fnatic trade off one player. But oh my god, that was one bullet, one tap from enemy is all it took to take down Rizraz in the back. So now that's the Jaeger out of play as well. It's not like Neofighter's any healthier. Most of his bullets will hit into the steel beams, as Magnet will get one onto enemy. Calls will come in to force Neofighter out of his current position to play from behind the bomb. And the Thermite in the meantime will open up the armory wall. 1:02 on the clock. It's a lot of time for Mach1 to play with.
Well, at least it's a 3v3 still. It's not a situation where the diffuser's down or anything like that. So it still could be saved here by Fnatic, but they just don't seem to be on top of it, letting Panics run around down here as well and not being able to get that kill. He's going to easily trade this back here. And Magnet at least getting one before he dies makes it 2v2.
But the kill that he got was on Void there. So
yeah.
Thermite, not the biggest operator to take down.
Ooh.
And Panic's hitting the grenade. Neofighter being so low on health. Just the splash damage, enough to get the kill. Lusty last alive, but the call will come in. And now it's 24 seconds left on the clock. Lusty on the Panics. And Fnatic bring it back. Come back swinging hard off of the play from Magnet. And there, the beautiful, beautiful angle play from Lusty.
Definitely a much better round. At least there was trades happening every time. A situation where most of the time they were able to trade back a kill for a kill. And, I mean, in the defender situation, sometimes that could be to your advantage because you have the ability to play time, whereas the attackers do not. But in that case, it just came down to really good play by Lusty at the end there was really the deciding factor. The fact that he was able to whip around and get that second shot.
Yeah.
Not to mention the first guy he killed was the diffuse carrier, which left them in a precarious position because the other attacker was so far away from that.
I assume there was a yokai that was set up somewhere to give him information, even though the echo was
it was still
down
in
already.
Place. Absolutely, and that is an important factor. Yeah, is to consider that well-placed echoes or maestro cameras still can help after death.
You can't move them, but you at least can see through them.
And that's why I'm glad you're able to mark now as well on the echo drones. Even though you don't want to use that most of the time, we have seen that sometimes come into play in terms of trying to get the right call at the right time. But I feel like you could tell from the way Panics was playing underneath, communication still the advantage that Mach could have. The ability to catch people from below seemingly blindly by Panics is not an accident. They're definitely making good calls. They're communicating well the positions of Fnatic. And maybe Fnatic need to be bringing a mute or something else to deny some of the intel that Mach are having, because the intel of their own is not necessarily doing a whole lot, although Magnet is dying early enough to be on his cameras.
Yeah.
Most of the time. And sadly, every time Magnet trades his life, it seems to be for Thermite. And always too late. We'll see how they go this round, though. They're back down in ventilation, which I don't think they had a terrible ventilation defense, but again, they need to reconsider what they reinforce. Alive with a nice drone there, spotting that out. Gonna be prepared for this. It looks like there was just a camera throw, so they know there's a camera over on that side. Now, they don't bring anything to spot it magically, but they do catch it alive, even with the hollow there, taking it out all the way from that distance. Good eyes.
Good eye, mate.
Good eye.
Good eye. Good eye. There you go. We're gonna milk this at the end of this entire game. All right. Well, alive, just moving in from the side so far. Nothing really out of the ordinary for Mocket. But again, this is border. I'm kind of surprised that Thermite wasn't banned. We have this talk so many times on normal Pro League days, especially with kicks. It's like, why wouldn't you ban a Thermite on here? It's such a staple operator. You kind of need to learn to play with a Habana.
Well,
remove it.
It was really about they wanted to ban Twitch. Is really what it came to. They wanted to disable Revan, and doing so, unfortunately, it hasn't worked out at a huge advantage for him.
Because he's got Dokkaebi.
Yeah, to be fair, Revan hasn't been the top fragger, though. I mean, maybe there's something to be said about that. I mean, but we saw him like even fragging out with Capitao on Oregon yesterday.
Yeah.
So
the thing is, his calls have been so important. They've allowed Mocket to position themselves against Fnatic, get information on where those players are, and really Dokkaebi's a great operator when you're looking to hunt down your opponents. Rizraz will get one, but Void with the refrag instantly here, making sure that things don't get out of hand for Fnatic. Panic's taking damage here as Magnet will exchange a bullet as well in the bathroom, and Panic's rotates in. Similar to what we saw on this site not too long ago. But Mocket will possibly get the Thermite here to open up the sidewall. Unfortunately, they'll have to deal with the Valkyrie on the side. An enemy pulling back just at the last second as Aces will get the kill on to Panics with the T5, and enemy comes in. There's a minute on the clock. A lot of time to play with. This Magnet takes down one. That's now a 2v3. And the advantage for Fnatic. There's no reinforced wall here, so enemy will take damage from every single side, and Voy in the meantime has gotten the plant down on the B site. So we'll have to fight against it here. Fnatic, Lusty from above. Play with the M5, and at least to open up a hole. Maybe they need to go for the run out. There's 3 players and now only 2. So run outs. No, actually, no. Magnet is somehow still alive. How is he alive?
He has 1 HP still. He's going to go for the defuse, but this is the worst time for him to be doing that. Aces needs to be on top of this here.
They need to run out against him, and Magnet hits the shot before continuing the defuse there. And that's Fnatic that take the second round on the board. They had a bit of a rough start with 3 rounds going the way of Mocket, but our Aussie team definitely is not out of the fight.
No, they definitely seem to be finally finding a bit of a groove here. It's surprising that they're playing pretty similar most times here, but maybe they just finally got their comms on board and able to actually communicate effectively. But right as they do that, of course, now they switch sides, so hopefully their attacks are going to be a little more coordinated, a little more along the lines of what we saw from Rocket. But at this point, it's only a point difference. They did manage to get 2 defensive rounds in a row. And the nice thing is those were the last 2, so they didn't have to switch to a third bomb site, so that kind of worked out. I mean, that's not the best thing to have worked out.
I don't think it was planned.
No, that's definitely, you don't plan.
I know Dizzle's a very smart guy, but I don't think that.
I don't think he's that humble to throw 3 rounds in a row. We'll see. I mean, this could be where they make a strong comeback as well, but Mocket seemed to have just gotten a little bit surprised that last round. It seemed like they got caught off guard a few times, but nonetheless, they still played an effective game, and I liked that Void was able to sneak that plant in. That was effective, and it almost worked. I mean, had he been able to win the fight against the Jaeger, there was 1 health left on Magnet. Might have been able to just pre-fire that and win.
All right, so now Fnatic will be switching off to the attacking side, and it's not like Aces is any slouch on the Dokkaebi. It seems like both of our Aces players, be it Fnatic or Orglis, one with a 1E, which is Fnatic, and with 2 E's, which is Orglis. You know, it's like a who came first, chicken or the egg.
And we get to cast both of them today, so it's an Aces kind of day.
Aces high, my man.
That's
but
right.
Fnatic also bring the Dokkaebi. Dokkaebi is a very important part of your attack on border, especially. And you know, when you're pushing into armory, it's very important to come in from the side, take control of the hallway. But IQ is here, so it's a possibility for Fnatic to easily take down any utility that was preset by Mocket. It's mostly going to be for the Yokai and any Go Mines that are set up.
Potentially spotting the Evil Eyes as well is a nice bonus.
Yeah, sometimes they're set in very complicated positions for you to deal with, but there's no Bandit, there's no Mute. You don't need to worry about those ops.
Yeah, it's interesting that they decided not to do any kind of denial of the wall, just a reinforcement. I mean, that's kind of a nice in-between play to what they were doing with the soft walls from Fnatic. It's a case of like, well, we know we're going to lose this wall. We're not going to expend a lot of utility defending it, but we're also not going to just leave it soft and leave it easy. We want to be able to fight you once you get in and make you at least have to depend on Thermite to get that open. Because the upside is if you make them depend on Thermite and you can somehow get a pick on Thermite early, now all of a sudden they're forced to play it differently. And that's always nice. But Fnatic wastes no time at all.
Oh!
There's one soft wall that completely backfires on them. Why they left that soft, I don't know, but I know Alive, no longer being so, is going to be regretting that immediately.
Wow. That's a pretty big kill here. I don't know if they forgot to reinforce it or something, but...
Well, a little late here, unfortunately, but this is only the first round here, so they could try and make up for it. They still have the Maestro alive to watch this, though, with the Evil Eye going to watch that open wall, so they will know when the approach happens, which means you could still have some denial, but
this is one. I don't think they even had enough reinforcements at the end because they reinforced the main hall from the break room with 2 walls instead of only 1. Usually it's one on the right side from the hallway that is reinforced.
Well, pretty sure that was not the best choice in this round.
All right, well, enemy, he's checking himself out. It's a good bot there, Mr. Echo. I guess he goes to the gym, does some yoga.
Yeah, well, Jim is on Clubhouse.
Yeah, that's the only gym you know.
That's true, that's true. Neofighter with a 2nd kill. That is the Jaeger down now as well. They are definitely doing a lot better on this attack than they were on most of their defenses because nothing has even been traded back. They haven't even taken damage yet. They have a good amount of control. The fact that they killed the smoke first is really going to work out for them this round. Fortunately for Revan, he gets taken down as well.
No, Neofighter gets another one. But now it's all up to enemy. Runs into Neofighter. Unfortunately, Neofighter here destroying his opponents. See him there in the middle. You give him an SMG, you give him an LED5. No matter what, it's gonna do the damage. And it was at least a 4K there at the end of the round for him.
Good round.
Fnatic tying it up 3-3.
Well, this is definitely the momentum swinging back at Fnatic's side. You can see the confidence that they're playing with. A bit stronger, a bit patient in terms of when they make their attacks, but they also got up to that wall and opened it quickly and took advantage of that soft wall. And that was a good use of taking advantage of what they saw. And that was similar to what we saw from Mocket, where they saw the good intel during the drone phase and then just took advantage of it. And I think that is a big factor for these teams in terms of that drone phase really factoring in for, okay, how are we going to approach this attack and making sure that they do it swiftly. We're not seeing a lot of surprises coming out from the defenders in terms of flanks and things like that, and maybe that's just playing too much into the speed of these rounds. We're not seeing a lot of them go down to the last second other than the attempted clutch by Echo, that one round. Otherwise, most of these plants are getting down early or the kills are coming out first.
All right, we head into round number 7 here as Fnatic will attempt to break the tie and take the lead for the first time in this matchup, at least on map number 1 border.
We're going to see a Lockers attempt again a second time, much like we saw from Fnatic.
There we go, you'll see. This is a very, very standard position to have your Maestro position is Evil Eye. Zig started this off, actually, from Team Liquid. But he would set it, he would have a bigger hole and setting it right in the middle, so the debris actually blocks it a bit. It's kind of client-sided, but here, because you're playing on LAN, things are a lot more, they look a lot more what they do for everybody.
We'll see. Deployable shield, interesting strategy here with opening up the bottom of the wall so that he can play this a little bit differently. If he wants to peek to the side of the shield, for example, he can see where their feet are and try and deny the thermite plant, and then just hide behind that shield and be protected from it because it'll be at the height of the shield when he wants to. So I think that's a smart play, definitely dedicating a lot of ADSs to keeping himself alive in that site. So CCTV control could be a priority here for Fnatic if they want to open that wall up instead of going for an office take, but they could just say, forget it, we'll go for office instead.
Neo Fighter coming in here from the East Alley, and just going to go up to the balcony, and we'll just go for the office. There's nothing really that's stopping them from doing that, except for this. That is a pretty sneaky bullet hole that is set up by Revan.
Not uncommon, though, to have sneaky holes in that hallway. So if you see something like that, you just shoot a an Ash Charge or a Zofia grenade down the hallway, preferably. Open that up, but in the meantime, while you're doing that, he still could get a shot on you. So it's tricky to deal with. Definitely nice if you have it like a glass and start popping holes in it.
Neo Fighter just peeking in from the balcony. Hasn't found anybody just yet. As you see, enemy is setting his yokai drone up. Now, Fnatic going in for a quick plant. This Ace is taking a lot of damage as he's planting, and it falls back right before the plant comes down. It takes 7 seconds to get it down, and 5 seconds will be more than enough to kill you with that gas canister if you stand in it. But Mach could lose that one player, the Legion, here in the engagement.
I appreciate that, though. That was a fast, swift attack on the Archives itself, just reading into the fact they wanted to defend another side. But Panics, with a nice tap there onto Rizraz, is going to take down their IQ, and that's a little less intel they're going to have. But I imagine they probably already got most of their scanning done at that point, so that probably won't be a huge loss. And they did trade it for the Legion, so I'd say Fnatic came out slightly ahead, but they should go for a reset on Aces by now, as he's going to be an important player in this.
Void just opening things up from below in the workshop, making sure he gets an angle on any potential planting positions from his opponents. There's a few ones that you can plant in if you get pretty aggressive inside of the site, but you also get line of sight on your opponents as they're walking in from the fountain side. Enemy, you see both of his yokais have been set up inside of the office, or inside of Archives, and with 36 seconds on the clock, Fnatic need to manage the time here to be able to push, and Panics will definitely try to make things a lot more complicated. He's holding off in the break room. One of the yokais will get taken down, though.
Yeah, definitely harder to spot those without the IQ, but taking one down is definitely a good start, although he dedicated 2 to stopping that plant in there. So it does seem like a smart play. He doesn't have to rotate it around and expose it right now.
Just taking down some of the wall to allow him to rotate back in. Ace is low on health. No time on the clock. 3 seconds left. And Magnet gets the TK on Lusty. He's like, you're too slow for the plant. I need to go for it. Magnet, can he survive the ticks from the gas nades? Yes, he can. Neo Fighter runs in, and Aces gets 2 out of it. And this is one of the sloppiest rounds I have ever seen.
They only won that off Crossfire and baiting the diffuser at that point. It was down to, I mean, the team killed.
Magnus like, just go plant. No, there's smoke. Okay, I'll just kill you and I'll take it myself.
Yeah, give it to me. You're too slow to even drop it. Obviously, that's not really what happened. But
are you sure?
It's fun to imagine that he was that angry and aggressive to do that. But either way, 2 good rounds on the board, and now we are seeing that first lead you mentioned from Fnatic actually come out. So Ventilations, this is a repeating pattern. What we saw, exactly mirrored from the other side. You see Lockers twice in a row fail, then they're going to go to Vents. If that fails, then maybe we'll see a flip side of 2 defense rounds in a row again, and then we'll end up in an overtime. But something tells me we probably won't see an exact mirror, and maybe Fnatic will be able to play off their momentum now. Maybe they needed those first 3 rounds to really warm up. I mean, to be fair, each round got progressively better in terms of their play. They got closer and closer to actually being able to pull it off. So they did seem to be kind of warming up. I know both teams didn't really get much chance to warm up this morning because of issues shuttling over here or something like that. So definitely coming into this a little more cold than they wanted to.
Bomb located by attackers.
What happens when you're on the other side of Paris?
Yep.
But Alive reinforcing in. Of course, we talk so much about Castle being a bit of a staple here on the Defense at Workshop. You can set your players up in the bathroom. It's very difficult to push them away, but we did see how Fnatic with Magnet was quartered on the inside. It kind of worked against them once the wall was left soft between the bathroom and the workshop. So you don't really want to limit yourself too much by having that. You could contest long angles, but you're not really going to win against ACOGs consistently.
Yeah. Definitely not in that situation too, where they were able to open up the angles that they wanted to open up, as opposed to the ones you wanted them to have. We'll see, though, if we can see a repeat performance here from Fnatic on this bomb site, whether or not they're able to pull it off. We did see some interesting plays on it from Map1, but swift map control coming out here to an extent. If they can get this wall open and start taking Lockers fast, this definitely will bode well for them on this attack. It does seem like they're more bottom heavy here. It might be 2 up top, 3 down the bottom. Hard to tell. It's the camera switching up. 3 up top, okay. They're going to try and deny as long as they can.
All right. At least the Thermite will open up the wall. So Alive is going to try to play in the armored Lockers. Delay things as much as possible. He does have 1 player as well next to him to help out inside of the room. So going to try to hang him out here. And they have gotten the spot on, I believe it's the Maestro playing in the back. Will force Void, but he takes so much damage, and Alive peeks out, gets 1 kill, trying to use their teammates as bait as Magnet gets 1, and now 2 with the RG-15. Going in for the reload is now 2 players down for Map1. Well, at least use the calls to push Panics back, but he's got to be careful of his opponents, and as he's jumping off, he hits the floor. And Aces should be able to clean him up as he comes in from the east stairs. And just being wary that he doesn't get baited again, which is very possible. There's a player you can see here, Revan, trying to use Panics to his advantage. And Aces will get the kill before anything happens and walks away unscathed.
Well, now 4v2 looking like Fnatic could continue their momentum here. I doubt Map1 are really going to give this up without a huge fight, though. In this case, the Iron Sight Bandit working out fairly effectively against Lusty. And I believe that was Diffuse Carrier dropping the Diffuser now. So this is where, if he times this just right. He does see a head.
He spots the head. He goes in for the spray, but enemy will fall to the floor here against the Zofia. Can't find the head of Magnet. Now Revan waiting here for the cross, but oh my god, Magnet, what was that?
At least a 4K for him, I believe. Because he had 2 with the pistol and at least...
He vaults and instantly ADS is ready for the side and pre-fires the server door. Oh my god.
Well, this is the deciding point where we see whether we're getting a mirror match or Oregon. Because it's match point, rather, but it looks like Map1 smartly taking a tactical timeout. A little bit of a pause to go, how did this happen? We were doing so well at the beginning. They won the first 3 rounds and have yet to win since then. Definitely doesn't feel good for them. You see the concentration. Focus.
Yeah, it is a 5-3. So the advantage definitely in Fnatic's side. They only need this 1 round to put that first point on the board. Now, after Map1's performance yesterday versus G2, I was expecting a lot more out of them here. And they definitely show up in every single round. It's just individual skill that wins it out for Fnatic.
Absolutely, and it's definitely the case where I feel like the momentum was a thing for them in the sense that once they kind of got over those initial humps, they were playing kind of a little strange in those first couple rounds. Not the Fnatic we would expect to see. The coordination just didn't seem to be there. And really now it seems to be. You see they're a lot more prepared for things like Magnet ADSing onto the servers immediately. It's that level of communication. I mean, they did almost get caught off guard a couple times. There was the one bait that almost worked from Tellers. There was the fact that he was able to kind of get the first off the iron sight shots from the doorway and then go around to flank and almost get that kill.
Is that a fuse?
That certainly looks like an elite fuse. All
right, interesting.
Yeah, this will be fun. But this could be the round that they throw, and then it ends up going again to that mirror match situation I was talking about, where we get a second half that's the same as the first half. But in that case, that just leads to overtime. See, though, they are also playing the first Ashe as well, so they've definitely changed things up on this attack strategy. I'm not sure the fuse is the best choice to attack.
I don't know if he's going to bring a shield.
Yeah,
I think it's a shield.
That's true. It could be the shield strat. We have seen that work on this particular map, on this particular bomb site.
Millennium plays it a lot, and not just in the one game that they had. They actually played it a couple times as well during the French Nationals.
Hick knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and they also played in scrims. They played it in other tournaments that they're playing in. So, still, it's definitely something to be afraid of. And yes, it is.
All right.
Indeed, the shield of Neofighter. So shout out to Millennium that made this work. Now it's up to Neofighter to prove that he has what it takes. Now, usually what this means is that they're not actually going to use the cluster charge, the Ura here that you see it.
Yeah, it's for the pistol and the shield, really.
Exactly.
The smoke helps as well.
Yeah, the PMM is basically a pocket sniper.
Yeah, it's definitely a very, very deadly gun. And it is the backup, the trusty sidearm of the actual sniper.
I mean, right now, technically, it does out-damage the OTS.
Which is odd to say the least, especially now the pistols are actually pretty good in the game in terms of they give you a bit of a speed-up boost. And the recoil is pretty nice on them now.
All right, we'll see Neofighter in front. You can use him as well, similar to Blitz as the, how do you say, your mobile drone. He takes a bit of damage on the cross in. And there you go. They spot the shield, and that's all it takes. 2 shots is all it takes to kill with the PMM, and he's going to have time to reload as they get shot from the side. Neofighter is still alive with a gas canister. No, that's a C4, but Panics from the side will take him out. Nobody has contested CCTV, even though Mocket have been spraying in here for quite a while. Aces now has already used one of his smokes, so he can jump into CCTV and contest, but he needs information, and Mocket have crossfires inside, so they're able to have their players turning off their phones, basically, in the meantime.
Well, I appreciate the idea of smoking the doorway and going to take out that smoke quickly, and then Magnet following it up onto the Valkyrie is still a really good position. All they sacrificed was the fuse and smoke canisters. Rizraz taking out one more before he's traded.
Yeah, Revan now will get one more onto Fnatic, as you mentioned. Now Panic's just spraying in through the smoke, realizing where his opponents will be. But it's a 1v2 with a minute left on the clock. All of the fight on the balcony, and then one other position, which is CCTV. Revan will need to rotate on in as he has no information on where his opponents are. I wonder if there's still yokais that are up from enemy, so information can be relayed back to Rizraz. Well, to Mocket here is Rizraz holding the angle, and there you go, the headshot as Fnatic take map number 1. So that's border in their hands, but I have to say, this was not the way I imagined it to happen. It was a bit sloppy from both teams, especially the way that Mocket played it. They started off so well with 3 rounds in a row, and then 6 in a row. 2 on Fnatic's defense, and then 4 on their attack.
Wow,
makes it a total 6-3 Magnet. There you go. When Magnet shows up.
Yeah, we saw him struggling so much in those first rounds, barely able to trade on Thermite. Yeah, when he